Rugby with Hugh Griffin.
Welcome to this very special instant reaction with myself and Hugh Griffin. We both watched this Springbok game when the Springbok women took on Italy and won against all expectations, let's be honest. I was at the edge of my seat, and I know you were as well. Tell me what your feelings were.
Oh my goodness, I was at the edge of my seat as well. I'm, am I a Springbok fan? I kind of am. They're one of my favorite teams. I've got every team is my favorite team, but I knew how big this game was. I picked this out as one of my top 3 games of the week, and it was just what a fantastic game of rugby. We're going to talk about obviously the Springboks a lot in this. I just want to early doors say, a great game of rugby takes 2 teams, and I thought that Italy were very good. There were many times that Italy could have capitulated in that game, and they didn't when they got that try with the great move at the front of the line out in the second half. I thought they showed great fight, great resilience. I don't think either team was bad. I think it was 2 quality teams. I think it's probably the highest quality game of the World Cup so far. I think we've seen closer games that were lower quality. USA, Australia was obviously a thriller as well, ended in a draw. And obviously we've seen some great teams playing against some not so great teams. But this was 2 very good teams. And just obviously with the personal investment that you and I both have we interviewed Swys de Bruin, the Springbok women's head coach, and being invested in that story, knowing what the storylines to follow were, picking up earlier than some, not as early as people who have been following the Springbok women for years, but earlier than some who the good players were. Yeah, just this is why we love sport. Regardless of who the teams are, it was a fantastic game of rugby. I will say that I think towards the end, I think the officials started to struggle. I think both teams can have complaints, but fortunately, I don't think it decided the game, and we won't harp on about it because I don't think it's spoiled a great game. Because everybody who I've seen in all of the group chats and online and now and things, just be heart rate at 200 plus, just couldn't cope with it. What a thrilling game! So so Eva, you're obviously a South African rugby fan, so you've obviously got more skin in the game than I do, but you are new to supporting the Bok women. So how did you find yourself getting sucked into this one?
Well, I don't know. I told you on WhatsApp, I said, I don't know why I'm so excited about this game. And I got so invested. I was literally at the edge of my seat. And I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that we both spoke to Swys. And I started speaking to Swys and started to get know the stories behind it. The women singing when they go into the changing room as opposed to the men being quiet. The women, the way they react and the way he has to, treat them and everything. The bit of the law behind the team itself. I think that started igniting it for me, and then starting to follow it like I've been doing regularly every week. And we would have done it last week if I didn't accidentally delete half of the podcast. And I apologize humbly for that. It was a big mistake on my end. I think that's when it started. And last week, of course, we won our first game ever in a World Cup against Brazil, lowly Brazil, let's call it that. But this week was a tough one. I mean, Italy, just put it into context, beating Italy. What does it mean when how strong are the Springboks relative to Italy? And of course, what does it mean for the Springboks in the context of this World Cup?
Oh my goodness. So Italy are a very credible team. Italy have been quite up and down. They were down last year, but this year they've been back up. They thrashed Wales, which isn't saying much these days. They beat, no, they didn't beat Ireland, but they beat Scott. They've had some great results. Basically, take my word for it, they've had some great results, and they're a very credible team. And I think when I interviewed Swys, he said that he thought that Italy were going to be maybe a step too far for the team. So that shows what he's done since then. That was 2 months ago. And look, people are going to say like, oh, Italy got nilled against France and then they lost to the Springboks, so they're obviously like underperforming. Like I said, I think they were great in this game, and I think that people have been really underselling how good they were against France. I thought they really tested France, made France work for that win. And I thought that Italy were favourites for this game because they play in the Six Nations. They regularly play at a higher level. We know the players. The players are playing, all due respect, the players are playing in Europe where women's club rugby is a step further forward than it is in Africa. And I just thought I'm interested to see how much the Boks can test. But the Boks I don't think the Boks were ever behind in this game. I think that they were either leading or drawing for the whole game. And it was just, yeah. So the stakes for this game it was basically a knockout game. So in the Women's World Cup, there's pools of 4 going straight into the quarterfinals. The top 2 from each pool progress. Now, and in each of the pool, because of the way that women's rugby is at the moment, you've got the top 4 teams: England, France, New Zealand, Canada. Okay, and nobody else they're one in each pool, and no one else in the rest of those pools is going to beat those teams. At least not originally as we thought. But so it's basically there's 2 decent-ish teams in both pools, and they play each other, and whoever wins that basically goes through. That was this game. That was this game between Italy and South Africa. Like I said, I thought that Italy were favourites, but I was very excited to watch this game. Everybody who I've spoken to said they were excited to watch this game. And to win it, this now probably means, when I say probably, France are currently beating Brazil 58-0 with 43 minutes played. So South Africa have basically qualified for a knockout game at the Rugby World Cup for the first time ever in the women's sport. And they played some amazing rugby. Like, so did you like the I can't remember who scored it, but there was this amazing try off a set play off a scrum.
Oh, it's Malinga. It's Malinga. Yes, I know.
Malinga, yeah. The Swys de Bruin, like fingerprints all over it. Thrilling rugby. Absolutely incredible.
I get goosebumps when you talk about it. Yes, man,
I would give my right arm for Wales men to be able to do something like that. Oh my God, Nadine. Let's talk about some players. Nadine Roos, world class, a world class rugby player. You know, the people are starting to talk now, like, okay, now how good is she? As in, who do we now compare her to? Because it's just about her body language. Swys de Bruin put it in my head, right? Because he said, I get Nadine Roos to watch clips of Antoine Dupont and then tell me what bits of his game she wants to include in hers, and then I coach her how to do it. And I just can't unsee it now. The way that it's small things of how she's always looking around when she's putting the ball into a scrum. So she started at fullback in this game.
Yeah, I was about to ask because there was a reason for that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So she started at fullback in this game. Swys, basically, she's basically South Africa's most talented player. She started at 15, and then she moved to scrum half for the second half. Very Razzie-esque, coming up with plans and things to get the best out of players. And the game plan very noticeably changed in the second half. I love it so much. But just like when she's feeding the ball into scrum, the way she's looking around, scanning, like seeing what the next stuff is, the way she takes control, her body language, you know, she does have that Dupont thing. I'm just going to lean into this comparison, okay? She does have that Dupont thing of even when something happens which wasn't her, she's involved. Like when she doesn't... She's either finishing the line break that someone else makes a line break, but she scores the try, or she makes a line break and someone else scores the try. Like she's everywhere. Also, other players that we need to talk about. Hele, how many people had never heard of her, the number 8, before the World Cup, and now she's a cult figure, an absolute icon of South African rugby already. Oh my goodness! Like both centres. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to just check the names. I haven't memorised the names yet, but. Both centres I thought were absolutely superb. In particular, the number 13, Mpumpa, I think it's pronounced. It was fantastic. I'm really going to struggle with some of these pronunciations, mate. I'm sorry. But Libbie Janse van Rensburg, official player of the match, the number 10. I'm telling you guys, to get the player of the match in this game, you have to play well. And she played well. She absolutely bossed it. The scrum... It was on top, didn't always get rewarded. That's a wider conversation about how scrums are refereed in World Rugby at the moment, but the scrum was always on top of this game. Dolf, the 2 wingers, Dolf and Malinga, absolutely sensational. What a game to watch. What a game to watch. This is why we love rugby, mate. This is why we love it.
Let's just go through the game quickly. Like you said, firstly, the first thing that caught our attention was the fact that the Springboks were so dominant in the scrums, and secondly, how Italy struggled in the lineouts, and they fixed it later in the game. So that was the first thing. A little good old-fashioned South African Springbok rugby, soften them up front, and then strike with the back line. Second half, it changed a little bit. What did you see? What was different now? Nadine Roos now moving closer to the scrum. Because you've also Swys also famously said if you could choose, you could have Nadine at 9, 10, 12, and 15, if it was at all possible. So what changed for you in the second half? You mentioned they were playing different. They brought a lot of replacements on directly after halftime as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to say that I don't have brandy, but I'm having a rum and coke for my South African friends.
There we go.
Cubes.
Have it on us.
So I felt the second half got quite hectic. I put in one of my group chats, one of my women's rugby group chats. So South Africa needs to take a breath here because I felt like they knew that the opportunity was there. They knew that history was afoot, and that things just started getting a little bit out of control. The penalty count started doing this. I thought you were lucky to get away with not getting a yellow card, to be honest. And it got away from them. And I just think the pressure of the game, but they never stopped playing. They never froze. They never started just being conservative. They absolutely they weren't gonna die wondering. I think if I was the Springbok coach, that's the thing that I would be most proud of is that Libbie Janse van Rensburg keeping that kick in right at the end, and then managing to kick it touch off a goal line dropout. Just
I was
just
worried about that one.
yeah, just never went into their shells. I felt that they went more direct in the second half. I think maybe the thing with Roos going from 15 to 9. Look, she's your best player, so you want her touching the ball. If she's at 15, that means you're going to go wide, and they went wide a fair bit. Although she was standing in to play first receiver quite a lot as well. And then in the second half, you bring her to 9. Clue is in the title, guys, that you're going to play off 9 now. And you went very direct. The physicality, my goodness.
And they made meters like that, many meters, direct, physical.
Many meters.
Yeah.
But again, you have to give credit to Italy faced up to it as well. I really thought after the first half, you didn't score off it, but you went from basically halfway to the 5 meter with just pick and goes. And I thought, I don't know that Italy can cope with this because Italy had injuries in the first 20 minutes as well, had to make subs in the pack. I thought, I don't know if they're going to last 80 here. But they did. And that you have to give credit to Italy as they fronted up to it. It was an absolute war. So it was a narrower game, a lot of mistakes from both sides. But yeah, never quits. Neither side ever quits. And yeah, I'm repeating myself, just enjoyed every moment of that game.
Just talk to me about Dolf quickly. He's played wing this week, played fullback last week. I suppose when Nadine Roos went to 9, Dolf went back to fullback. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, he's quite small. But what a player. I mean, also taking care of the place kicking and everything else. And they almost made that drop goal when the ball fell off the tee. I mean,
my goodness.
So yeah.
If that had gone over, I think I would have passed out. I couldn't believe. You saw it because the camera was behind her and you saw it going, that's never going over, is it? And it fell just short. But it was, and like Leckerback, scrum cap wearing winger in South Africa. Yeah. And she takes the goal kicks. Cheslin Colby, are you watching? Yeah, just a great player. I thought that Malinga, in any other game, Malinga could have got player of the match as well. The step, the pace as well. Swys talked about he needs more sprinters in this team. I think he's got enough to be going by. And just I don't know tons about the backstories of these players, but yeah, that's something that someone pointed out to me as well was when the lineup came out and it was Roos at 15 and Dolf on the wing, but then no scrum half on the bench. Someone was like, okay, well, this is in the scrum half, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and then it works. Coach Swys made a plan, and it worked. Swys knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
I love it. I told you. One of the reasons I'm actually so invested in this is because of the fact that Swys has taken over. And suddenly you can see them switching up to a new gear. I mean, it's going to get women's rugby in South Africa up to a next level, I think, as well. Just last thing I want to talk to you about quickly, the number 10, Libbie Janse van Rensburg. One of the superstars almost in South Africa. I know you mentioned her before. Now you just mentioned how she was actually the official player of the match. Almost said man of the match, player of the match. What did you think of her? I mean, her play in general. I mean, she made a couple of mistakes. Penalty kicks she couldn't get out because I thought she went for too much distance to get too close to the try line. And I saw a couple of nerves everywhere else, especially with Libby, or not especially, also with Libby, but just Libbie Janse van Rensburg as a playmaker. What were your impressions?
I thought she was very cool, calm, and collected. I think it's a very tough brief for her, with obviously everything being built up around Roos and Roos stepping in at number 10 and things. It'd be very easy for her to get her style cramped. So it's very mature from her to be able to understand that and how to make it work, and to sometimes be the bass player rather than the lead guitarist, if that makes sense. She just gave everything. I watched her post-match interview, And she was obviously extremely emotional, and she talked about how she hopes that they'd made South Africa proud, and just kind of like when you see a player going like, no, this is life or death now. This game, this is everything. Like, if I never play, I'm going to play this like it's the last ever game I'm ever going to play. Obviously, plays for the Bulls Daisies, the Isuzu Bulls Daisies, as we must now call them. And I thought she had. So I was going to compare her to Andre Pollard, and she had some really nice breaks as well. I think she set up the Roos try. She just one of those classy tens who just takes her time, just takes her time. If she doesn't want the ball, like she's not going to say give me the ball even if it's not on. She's like, no, you have the ball, I'm okay. And then when I ask for the ball, I'm going to make something happen. You know, when the ref shouts use it, by God use it, and she did that. So yeah, really really enjoyable. She's not a player that I knew tons about, but people who knew about the South Africa women were speaking about her a lot, and my goodness, she delivered in this game.
She's one of those players. You said she takes the time, but she's also one of those players that always look like they've got plenty of time. You know what I'm going with this? They never look rushed. They never look like they're under pressure or anything like that. Okay, what's next now? We play France next week, and France is just annihilating Brazil this as we're speaking. But also we beat Brazil quite handsomely last week. But I suppose we're going to end up second now, going through to the quarterfinals. So how's the pool system work now? Who should we go up against in theory?
Oh, I'll need to check. So it's a tough kind of one for Swys now, isn't it? Because it's like, okay, we're already through, and we're playing a game against France that we're second favourite for. But a lot of people are going to think that you could take France on. But so it's kind of like, do you say no? Let's try and beat the French and get first in our pool? Because if you get first in the pool. So you're in Pool D. Yeah. So you be up against winner in Pool C, which would be, oh my goodness, the Black Ferns.
But we beat them, but not their first team. But we beat
not their first team. But wow, they smashed Japan today. So if you lose to France, you'll be playing against the Black Ferns. I want to see that now.
And if we beat France.
If you beat France, you're playing against the runner-up in Pool C, which would be Ireland.
And what does that mean? How good or how bad is Ireland?
Ireland are good. Ireland put a big score on Italy in the Six Nations. Probably not necessarily reflective of Italy. We were all quite nervous about Ireland coming into this Rugby World Cup because they'd had some key injuries and they'd had a very so-so Six Nations. Lost to Scotland, although Scotland are playing bloody well at the moment as well. But they seem to have got it back together. They've found a way this World Cup. I was at today. I was in Northampton.
I saw you proudly with your shirt, your red shirt.
Yeah, watching Ireland versus Spain. Hell of a match. I think you could really test Ireland though, because Spain didn't have great gain line. They really struggled with ball carries and things. They still scored 5 tries though. Spain did, and you thrashed Spain last time you played them. So. I would say that Ireland's harder than Italy, but I think that Ireland's attack is great. I think Ireland's attack is better than Italy's. So it's a case of I think you would score tries against Ireland, but it's can you keep them out?
What's our defense, by the way? Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but because that's one of our weak points.
It was probably as good as I've seen it. I thought it was physical. I thought that Italy's tries were really well taken. I still think that your best form of defense is not letting the opposition have the ball. You're very, very good at hogging possession and keeping the ball. But it's physical, man. I think one of the big differences in women's rugby at the moment is being smart with defense. And I think that at the moment, South Africa are kind of in the stage of they're always looking to make the big hits, which they do make. Whereas you gave away some soft penalties as well, though. You need to clean that up. Whereas some smarter teams, like, with the held up rule now, I think the smarter defenders are like, when you get within a meter, they look to hold you up rather than shove you back.
Yeah.
Whereas South Africa are still trying to shove them back.
Yeah.
So I think your defense is progressing. I think it's physical as anything. I think it needs to be a bit smarter. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I really want to watch Black Ferns versus South Africa now. But if you play against Ireland, that's an interesting game. That's a fascinating game. That will be played in Bristol, I think. No, it would be played in Exeter. I couldn't go to that one then. No, either games would be played in Exeter. That's a shame. So, yeah. So it's a question for Swys now. What do you do? What do you do? Do you go, no, let's go out and beat France. Let's
No.
Or do you go, no, let's
No,
lick our wounds,
I'll
rest
give my
up now.
first line players a bit of a rest. I wouldn't give everything. I mean, we know they're a much better team than we are, and save our, keep our powder dry for that knockout game. Give everything we've got to get to that game, because you're going to play your best team now. And let's say we beat France, then we have to play for Ireland with a team that's sort of more tired or more exhausted, or whatever. You've now shot your shot. I'd rather say, listen, wait a bit. Bide your time with France. Go play the Black Ferns. We've beaten their second team, let's call it that. We know it's not their first team, but still, we might have a chance. I'd rather that would be my approach. But Swys is much more clever than we are.
But why are we here though? Is there not like a
because we want to win the cup? We don't care about winning or coming first or second in the pool. We're now second already.
Yeah, but you're probably not going to win the cup, Enver. Like semi-final is your best case scenario.
Well, then I want to get to the semi-final. I want to give everything I can.
But imagine you play against.
If
you're playing against New Zealand in a World Cup knockout match, think of surely that's going to get huge exposure in South Africa.
But that's what I'm saying. If we lose against France, we're going to play the All Blacks, the New Zealand. That's what I'm saying. I'd rather lose against France. We can imagine. That's what I'm getting at. No, I can't wait.
This is why coaches are coaches, and we just talk on YouTube.
Pundits, yeah. Well, I suppose I don't know how many journalists were in that stand today. I mean, we were denied accreditation, apparently because we waited too long, but nobody told us to apply for it. So thank you for that, World Rugby. And you should send me a picture of an empty press box in a big game, for that matter. So yeah, hopefully somebody watches this and feel pity for us. But anyway, thanks, Hugh. I appreciate you making time for us to do this instant reaction. We're going to do more of these. I love it.
My absolute pleasure. From the stadium next week.
Oh, yeah, cool, man. You're going to watch that game, South Africa against France. I forgot, yeah. Unfortunately, not as an accredited journalist, but anyway.
I'm going to wear my... I've been weighing up which jersey to wear, because obviously I've got loads of France jerseys, because based on who I want to have my photo taken with.
Thou shalt not wear a France jersey.
Yeah, if I'm coming on your show afterwards, I'll wear my Blue Bulls jersey.
You better wear the Bulls jersey at the stadium.
I will get some Bulls Daisies players to sign it if I can.
Yeah, well, that's most of the team.
Yes.
All right, man. Thanks. We'll have another episode later this week. We'll talk about some more stuff, and I'll make sure to get it out this time as well. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Rugby with Hugh Griffin.